Hello and welcome to the PTS. I am here with my Necromancer healer. I'm gonna talk a bit about how the Necromancer healer plays in the first iteration of the PTS. Today I cleared the Sunspire trial together with Hodor, and this is the exact build that I was using, and I'm gonna go into how the Necromancer plays right now and what position I think it's in. So I'll start off explaining how it plays. So what makes the Necromancer unique is that it's got two unique synergies in its class, something that no other class in the game has. That means that it has got two synergies that itself only has got access to, and these synergies are, the first one here is the Unnerving Boneyard, or this is the morph of it, and the synergy itself is called Grave Robber. This is very similar to Liquid Lightning, which is what the Sorcerer healer would use on live right now. The only difference being that when you use this ability, you also gain access to Major Breach and Major Fracture, and two very important debuffs. Anyways, this is basically the same as Liquid Lightning, other than the fact that you deal damage, plus you also add extra damage debuffs. So the second synergy comes from the Bone Turret tree, and this is called Agony Totem. Unlike the other synergy, this is not an aimed synergy. This applies right in front of you no matter what you do, and there's no way of aiming it. And what the synergy does is that it applies minor vulnerability plus some magic damage to the targets around it. Minor vulnerability, of course, gives your damage dealers 8% extra damage, and usually you would get this from either Infallible Aether, shock damage, or the Livewire set, which has been very popular on tanks lately. Livewire literally procs it in an area exactly like this skill does. Again, it's not only a synergy, it's the effect of it is very useful, and this seems to sort of be the theme with the Necromancer. So you get something that's strong, but then we add some sugar on top of it. So two unique class synergies, both of them very strong. One of them, of course, is aimable and very easy to put on a tank. The other one is more what I would call trash oriented. That means that this is ability that's strong and trash because of the way the synergy works, but also because of how it's placed. But a good organized group could of course use this ability on boss fights as well. So going into healing, you have an entire tree that's focused on healing itself or anti-debuffing. So this is exact same way that you'd see the Warden tree. You have a healer, a tank, and a DD skill line. The first ability I'm going to talk about in the healing skill line is the Intensive Mender. This is the short duration morph, so that's a longer one. This is probably the most intelligent pet I've seen Source use so far. I used it today, and there were these ice cones that the DDs took a lot of damage from, and whenever I used this ability, it went and did exactly what it said. It healed the lowest HP target, and that's very nice. Like, there's nothing to say about this thing. This is also your only source of corpses, as my build is right now, and you pretty much want to keep this thing up 100%. There's not much more to say about it. It's a pet, it works like it's intended to do, so very well. Good job done, Sauce, with that one. So the second ability from the healing tree is this Blood Sacrifice, which works exactly like Breath of Life, almost exactly like Breath of Life, other than the fact that the target has to be in front of you. So what you can do with breath is you can aim in this direction, and then you can heal someone in the opposite direction, almost. Like, you can't literally heal behind you usually, but it's not as omniscient. It works more like the Warden heal, but it's a burst heal. The second thing with this ability is that it's supposed to be more Necromancer-like, and they have added Mind and Defile, which I believe is very nice, like that you get this sort of Necromancer theme healing. The issue is that for some unknown reason, Source has made a counteractive passive. So whenever you get a negative effect on you, your heal linked on is 8% higher. And it just so happens that you look 9,774. I use the ability, get Minor Defile, and now I heal for even more. Like this, so you need to make this Major Defile. Like it needs to be some sort of high risk, high reward. It's never gonna be in that, but this is literally a meme. I don't know why it's like this. And the reason it needs to be Major Defile is the last skill from this skill line that I'm gonna talk about, which is Expunge and Modify. This is basically a self-purge, something that healers has been asking for forever, because of how the efficient purge ability works, where it doesn't always work on yourself, even though it says it does. But anyways, this will basically purge yourself of any debuffs or 2 debuffs. So from a PvE perspective, this is very strong. And what is really nice about this, which I think is good design, is that even if you don't need the ability itself, it's got a very strong passive, which is 3% reduction. So you could add Major Defile to this, and then you would then cleanse it. This is my only really suggestion for Source. Anyways, moving on with the Necromancer tree, which is what is interesting. You've got a crit chance healing low HP targets, something I think goes well with the theme. Not an overpowered passive, very well done. Then you've got auto-regen for keeping up your pet and actually healing people with your burst heal. Very well done, not too much ultimate. And then we've got the only passive that I'm really gonna critique, which is, why do we need stamina recovery? So we've basically got way too many sources of recovery as a Necromancer, especially because the abilities aren't that expensive. The burst heal is a bit expensive, but it's nowhere, like it's not more expensive than something like Breath of Life. And I don't know why we need 300 free recovery for just keeping up our pet, but for some reason we do. The second problem I have with this passive is that it's not only Magicka recovery, but we also get 300 stamina recovery. And I know that the class reps talked about how we want stamina moves and stamina things, but we don't need both regions in one passive. Then it could be whichever one is higher or something. Because right now the Necromancer has both this passive, and we also get stamina from the Expunge. And I'm just gonna jump forward quick, and we also get free stamina whenever things dies. So as a Necromancer healer, we have ridiculous amounts of stamina sustain. And if anyone follows the live server, right now one of the most important skills in the game is this Shadow Silk ability, and it costs stamina. This is basically one of the most overpowered synergies in the game right now. So stamina recovery actually matters as a healer, and I think this is a huge design flaw, and this is one of the passives that I think at least in future needs some changing. Moving on, I just talked about this death cleaning, which is basically only counts if you have a Bone Tyrant ability slotted. So this is why I suggest front barring this Goliath thing. You're never going to use this particular ability, but I suggest you front bar it so that you get access to this particular passive, which is Stamina and Magicka. And this is every 2 seconds. So this is basically, if you kill stuff in trash, then you gain Magicka and Stamina. These are sort of tank passives, and then we come down to Last Gasp, which I think, again, is absolutely insane. I don't know why we need 2000 max health, but this will basically allow you to be much more build diverse. Usually I would have 3 triglyphs, going 64 into Magicka, but right now I just went with 2 max Magicka because I get free stamina recovery and I get free health, so why would I go with triglyphs? And I still sit at almost 19k HP without Eben, and only with Merge Mother's Brew. So I think this passive needs some tuning. It should at least come with double slotting the Bunker Life and the Agony Totem. So like right now I have 1 on each part to make sure I get the Death Leaning passive. Why should Last Gasp be just free? You don't even need to slot anything. I think this is one of the critique points of the Necromancer class. Then we go into the Death Lord, which is free damage, free damage, free damage, and free cast. Again, sustain. So whenever an enemy dies, they need to take damage by one of your Necromancer abilities, which these so happen to do. But anyways, you get free cast of your Intensive Mender, which doesn't cost anything. So from a healer perspective, this is not too powerful, but again, we get free sustain. So sort of wrapping things up, right now, the Necromancer, I would say, is to bring up an old League of Legends term, a bit overloaded. This was sort of the thing that started happening in League around the release of Yasuo. I think that was early 2014, late 2013, where they basically started adding champions to the game that had kits that could do so many different things that even if you nerfed them, like the damage or the HP or the resistances or whatever, it was the kit itself that was overloaded. It could simply do too much, and I think that's exactly the state that Necromancer is on PTS right now. There's simply too many things that the Necromancer can do. It has synergies, clever pet, burst heal, self cleanse, sustain, healing on low HP, alt regen, stamina regen, and all these things, and free HP. So all these things combined is simply a too overloaded kit. So in conclusion, if you were looking forward to a really nice Necromancer healer, you are lucky. The Necromancer healer is going to be just as powerful as any other healer on the live server currently. You're going to have access to a fun kit. I believe the abilities are very well designed, and I think the kit is a bit too overloaded, but I think it's very fixable. And I've come up for some suggestions why. So this is my opinion on the stance of the Necromancer healer right now, and I'm looking forward to playing it a lot more, and hopefully we're gonna have some time on PTS to try it out and try some fun builds, and I'm gonna keep you updated whenever something happens.